fantasy football. He could even be passing Damien Harris on early downs. Kind of what are you reading as you sift through the endless tweets on your morning shifts? And should we be flipping Damien Harris and Rhamondre Stevenson in our pre-draft ranks? I have made that change to our official PPR rankings in the Rotoworld draft guide.
It seems to be consensus almost at this point that Stevenson should be drafted ahead of Harris. And I think the reason is not because Damien Harris is going to be phased out completely of the offense. That's not the idea.
Or that he's bad. He's not bad.
No, he's not bad. The idea is that Rhamondre Stevenson profiles, and Patrick Crane has talked a lot about this, as more of an every down back candidate than Harris. Now, whether that happens or not is anyone's guess. But at that point in the draft, you're shooting for upside. Like I feel like Harris is really boring pick in that part of the draft. I just don't get the appeal of Damien Harris in that part of the draft. I get the appeal of Stevenson. Also, Bill Belichick said on Tuesday morning that Harris and Stevenson were, I'm trying to paraphrase here, we're going to take all three downs. In other words, he's seemingly not going to use Ty Montgomery or whoever else as this sort of spoiler third down back, pass catching back. That would take a lot of appeal away from a guy like Stevenson. So that's a big development if true.
A legit big if true. The Ty Montgomery's not going to get 2.1% of the vote and just totally ruin the backfield for generations. Damien Harris is kind of the thing is with Damien Harris is he's maxed out as a touchdown scorer. He's never going to have another 15 touchdown season.
Probably not.
He's tapped out as a pass catcher. There's no untapped upside there for Damien Harris as a pass catcher, where Rhamondre Stevenson, it didn't enter the league as a pass catching zero, but it's kind of like an unknown, but he definitely flashed the pass catching upside. The Patriots are strongly telegraphing they think there's room to grow for him as a pass catcher. I mean, Rhamondre Stevenson, it was essentially like they played to a standstill down the stretch already last year. And it's weird because Damien Harris is a good player. And like you said, he's not going to be totally phased out. It just seems like Rhamondre Stevenson is a slightly better player. He's more dynamic. He has more avenues to upside, especially in PPR leagues. And it's going to be messy. And it could be where the first 2 or 3 weeks, depending on the game plans, the game script, it could look like Damien Harris is still just the lead back. But I do really think the best bet from what we know on August 23rd is that Rhamondre Stevenson's going to score more PPR fantasy points this season.
Yeah, I mean, I can see us, really grinding the backfield data for New England in week 1 and week 2, who's running the routes.
Being sad.
What'd you say?
Instead of being sad.
Well, maybe. And who's getting the high value touches, meaning, carries inside the 10 and then receptions out of the backfield. I wrote about Stevenson in very limited pass catching action last year, including the game that Damien Harris missed. He was quite the target commander, and
he was fairly dynamic too.
I have a sense. I think there's reason to believe that he could become like a real consistent part of a Patriots offense that doesn't have a whole lot of target competition. I mean, Kendrick Bourne apparently is canceled.
Well, it does have. That's the thing. It has actually a lot of target competition, but it just doesn't have anyone guaranteed a certain target percentage.
Right. No dominant guy. Yeah.
I actually take at face value Bill Belichick's apparent quotes, which I actually haven't seen yet. It wasn't really on the site this morning. Is that bad?
Well, no, it actually came out just as we started recording.
So did you even blurb it, Denny? Did you not blurb it?
I wasn't able to blurb it while talking.
You didn't blurb it, huh? All right.
I'm sure our news team is on it.
I actually take it at face value that he might be phasing out the James White role, where that might have been more of a Tom Brady creation that kind of hung around the past year or two. Not even really last year since James White. Did he even play at all last year?
A little bit.
I think 5 or 6 games, yeah. Where that role just might not make sense anymore if you don't have the ultimate, kind of distributor quarterback and like Tom Brady, who's going to relentlessly target that position. It would make more sense to go with a traditional 2-back allocation as opposed to 3. And just the more dynamic, someone who's not a role player, basically also doubling as the pass catcher. Mm-hmm. I actually take Bill because it just makes too much sense. So I take Bill Belichick kind of at face value, which is also very, very famous last words. But Yeah, I think you said it's almost consensus. I think we agree with the emerging consensus that Rhamondre Stevenson should be going ahead of Damien Harris. Along the same lines as the Patriots, long foretold movement in the Commanders' backfield could be coming to fruition, where it seems the day 2 pick, Brian Robinson, might be carving out a red zone and goal line role. I mean, emphasis on seams. For all we know, they're trying to see like what he's made of, but it's been a weird summer for Antonio Gibson. He's been getting some reps as a return man, which again could just be like, we'll just see if Antonio Gibson can do this in emergency. But the Antonio Gibson smoke signals remain quite troubling. Is there any way we can still treat Antonio Gibson as a running back too, Denny?
No, not a running back too. I mean, but you don't really have to draft him that way anymore because he's plunged down draft boards so dramatically over the past 2 weeks. Working with special teams and training camp. He was playing with second and third string players in the Washington offense against Kansas City this weekend, whereas Robinson seemed to be the RB1 in that game. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Ben Standig of The Athletic did say, and we have a blurb on this on the site if you ever get a chance to check our site, that Gibson remains the best bet for backfield touches in Washington. That could be deceiving, because we could be talking about the kind of empty calorie touches that we don't really care about too much. Stuff between the 20s, whereas Robinson would seem like a bigger back, more straight ahead. The team loves his running style compared to Gibson's sort of dancing behind the line of scrimmage. Robinson would seem to be the natural goal line back, and then J.D. McKissic is going to eat up all the targets and receptions. I do find myself somewhat interested, not so much in best ball, but in redraft. If Gibson gets to 8th, 9th round, I feel like it's a why not situation.
It kind of is, because I think both things are true. Like, the red flags are very, very, very concerning with Antonio Gibson, because he's kind of in the classic, he's like the lead back, but he's threatened in all the money situations where we know he's not the pass catching back because they are obsessed with J.D. McKissic. We know that there was real draft capital invested in Brian Robinson, so you can't just treat that all as like coach speak or like summer experimenting. Like, there is a very real risk that Brian Robinson becomes like the early down hammer and the hammer near the goal line. But J.D. McKissic is still just J.D. McKissic. He's a very, very strict role player. Brian Robinson is a rookie for whom things could go haywire very quickly. Even at running back, it's quite often not smooth sailing for rookies. And like Antonio Gibson could like reconsolidate like pretty heavy workloads pretty quickly, maybe even if he doesn't have them in the first few weeks. So he is someone where I feel like you can't go, like, you're going into draft weekend this weekend, you can't emerge. I wouldn't be thrilled to merge with Antonio Gibson as my second running back, but he is an intriguing like RB3 discount. Or if you're going 0 RB and he's part of a mix, maybe he could be your second running back. But it's very troubling for early in the season, but there is still some long-term potential with Antonio Gibson.
I think he profiles as, if you're going 0 RB or, one of its cousins, hero RB or whatever.
And that's GYRO RB, actually. It's really complicated.
God, I want a gyro so bad right now. I think that Gibson profiles as a nice, mid-round pick for that sort of roster construction. Now, if you're using 1 or 2 or 3 of your top picks in your draft at running back, you have literally no reason to take Antonio Gibson. You can just take him off your draft board completely.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.